Welcome, everyone, to episode 18 of the podcast. And I cannot believe it, but I am not alone this episode. I, as everybody knows, because I spent last episode talking for 45 minutes incoherently, am Connor Malatesta, and I am finally again joined by my very favorite host, the one who keeps me on track, Ryan motherfucking Bannister. Ryan, how you feeling this week after being sick last week?
Well, I'm back from the grave here. I've made my return, and we'll see how that works out for us because your episode last week actually performed, I think, the best on YouTube out of any of them so far. So I don't know what that says about me either way, but
Well, everybody was checking. Oh my God, he's not here. What happened? And much like Jesus Christ, you are now back from the dead. And
and
also,
now you're
like
about to
Jesus,
get me struck by lightning sitting right here.
you're in a house. You'll be fine. That's me. I think I'm the heretic here.
Yeah.
Uh, so I know we're like, what the hell? Okay, I rambled about AI last week. What the hell do we talk about this week? We're like, is it too soon to do another current events? And I don't know. We started. I think we just decided being a very strong word, I think, to describe that conversation. But you know what? Let's talk about negotiating tactics. Since tariffs are still all the rage, and 2 episodes ago, it was I think somebody actually on YouTube had left a comment about tariffs used as negotiating tactics, and you know what that would be that would be something to kind of cover is just negotiations in general. Which I mean, what is sales but a negotiation? What is international diplomacy but negotiation? What is life but a negotiation with God?
Absolutely. We're all just negotiating our way through every day, whether you realize it or not.
So what's your? I don't know. I didn't have much of a plan for this one. So what's your favorite negotiating tactic when you're like talking to clients and all that? I don't know, let's start with we're still in the beginning, so we still got to have a facade of professionalism here. But let's go over, I don't know, our favorite negotiating tactics, and then we can branch out from there. See where the conversation takes us. We'll have a little adventure.
Yeah, it's a great question because I honestly, when I go through the sales process, like which is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of like negotiating, I guess. And as far as I can say, like thinking through the process, what's the first part of that people think about negotiating? It's the price. I don't negotiate on the price. So I guess that's a tactic, but I'm not quite sure about that one. But you think about other areas of it, and that's as far as I think at that point, negotiation can almost have sort of a stigma about it, where like you are trying to, convince somebody to do what you want them to do, or I don't know. Am I making sense on that?
I think you may still have a little bit of your residual sickness on the brain. No, I'm kidding. You're making sense. I,
Yeah.
I yeah, the word like negotiating, negotiation tactics. Like if you're in the boardroom, here's what if you're making a big business deal. These are the things you've got to do. You've got to get in there and make them feel like you're the dominant negotiator. You've got to really get in there and show them that you're the one setting the stage and telling everyone what to do, and they got to go along. And if you don't want to go with it, we're gonna walk away. Like I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm not allowed in boardrooms anymore. But like when I talk to clients, it's kind of like all sales is a negotiation because you have a thing that you're offering, thing you want to do, and they either want to or don't want to pay. And whether you want to budget, it's the art of basically compromise. And
Yep.
how do you get the other side to, what's the saying that I heard once? The best compromise is the one where everybody walks away pissed off.
Yep.
You've done your
Everyone's
job
unhappy.
well if everybody's leaving there going, those fucking bastards, are you fucking kidding me? We agreed to this shit. What the fuck? And
Right.
everybody's going away, and then they head off to the Arby's or something. But it's I guess that's a more cynical way of looking at it. I like to think a lot of times, like when we do work or send over proposals that they're not pissed off about. I'm sure they are. Nobody likes paying the accountants, but it's the art of having a thing, something of value that you are offering, and what do they want to pay, or what are you going to get in return? Obviously there's books out there like The Art of the Deal that tell you how to do all that stuff, but I don't know, sometimes that kind of really, I don't want to say business heavy, but it's so heavy handed in how it approaches it that
Yeah.
it not disingenuous, but um it kind of misses the point. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to go in swinging.
Right. And that's what I'm getting at too. Like with the stigma on negotiation, it's like you are trying to like get one over on somebody. Or like, yeah, I got the better end of this deal. But really, I think you nailed it on the head. Like what comes to my head as well is essentially you're trying to figure out if your terms and the terms of the other party or parties align.
I mean, yeah, I mean, they're giving you something, you want something, or giving something, and just how do we feel like everybody's getting enough for what they're doing? I mean, sales is the easiest form of negotiation. You're trying to sell them something. You have a thing that they want. They have money that you want. So how do we figure out how we want to pair that up together?
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
find it. I don't. I think for me, the idea of negotiating. I'm gonna immediately take us on a tangent. We're not even 7 minutes in, but I'm gonna tangent immediately. I find it really fascinating when you think of it in the context of international diplomacy, where the rules aren't so clear cut. Like when you're a member of society, right? And we're negotiating, say, service, right? We know that if I get a contract signed with somebody that stipulates they're going to pay X amount, each month for whatever's going to happen, and they decide not to after they've done that, after we've been providing service, we have recourse through the legal system to kind of go after that and hold them to their end of the deal, right? We have a very, like, there's structure in what we're doing, right? Because we're civilized. We're in a civilized society. But then when you're a nation state dealing with another nation state, yes, there's the international court, but how do you, if you make a deal, if one nation makes a deal with another, how do you actually hold them accountable to what they say they're going to do if they decide, not to? What short of, obviously the biggest negotiating stick is the military. But for me, it's just always fascinating to really think that when you get into kind of country negotiating with a country, there is no, if we're being real, there is no like real structure that it operates in. It's kind of whatever either side is going to do. I don't know. To me, it's
Right.
really interesting because it's like fundamentally a might makes right type thing, but also kind of not if we don't want to be assholes about it. But also fundamentally, yes, it is, but it's not. I don't know, that one I always find really really interesting is how does all that stuff work when you remove the glamour, or not glamour, but the glossiness of being in a society.
Yeah. Yeah, and during college, I actually took a couple of international law classes because I took one and I loved the professor. He was awesome. So I took the second one. And
How'd that
at
second
the,
class go? I see you didn't take a third one.
there wasn't a third.
Ah,
I would have because when I tell you he was great, I love the guy. But the end of the second class, um, the final project was a term paper, I guess, on what your opinion of international law was and essentially whether it's enforceable or not. I want to see if I could find the paper. I'll have to dig it up out of the dregs of my hard drive, but it's funny when you look at it because there are these overarching like rules that countries have come up with over the years, and you have the UN and everything who has their they're guidelines essentially. But in the end, is it enforceable? That comes down to the tools that you use, and like you said, the biggest negotiating stick on that point is the military. But you know, nobody wants to go to war, so
Well, you
very few
say
people
that.
want to go to war.
I can think of a few that are like, let's go to war. Yeah, I mean, the second one then is also economy, but it's
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Yep.
always interesting when you get into. It probably says more about human nature than anything, but when you get into negotiating like that, where really the only way to really get anyone to be held to anything that they say is just how much is it going to hurt them if they
Yeah.
don't do what they're going to say, which I guess is human nature. Of you said you were going to do this, and in the olden days it was, if you don't, we're going to beat the shit out of you if you don't do what what you say. And now we're civilized and you can't beat the shit out of people as much. um and if you're a
Physically.
nation, you really can. Well, we hope so. Although
Yeah.
there are probably some people out there you'd be like, no, 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 get over here. You got a punchable face. We're gonna.
And arguably nowadays, internet beatings are worse than a physical beating would be in the
Oh
first
man, getting dragged through Twitter. All those. I do sometimes start to agree. I think it was Mike Tyson who said, or somebody with people got too comfortable being able to run their mouths behind the internet. Like, yeah, you wouldn't say that to my face. Like, some of those people
Yep.
that are in their shit posting on Twitter and doing all that, it's like, yeah, probably do need to be introduced to the real world consequences
Yeah.
of their actions. Um, where was I going with that? That it related to international diplomacy somehow. Oh, sticks and stones may break our bones, but you won't get me to agree to that trade deal. Um, it's been such a long week. That was so dumb. Um, I don't know. It is just the idea in general of how do you get someone to follow through. To me, is just interesting because then even in the framework of civilized society, there's still that, okay, are you going to go to court, or how do you get someone to do that? How do you convince someone to play nice? And it's like everything outside of just business and sales. It feels almost cliche to talk about negotiating from the concept of sales, because it kind of feels like it's been done to death. Like there's,
Oh yeah.
can we really say anything new about the art of negotiating a sales deal that hasn't been said ad nauseum by every other asshole out there who wants to sell a book or a podcast?
Yeah, and that's where I didn't want to lead this episode, was into another sales episode that we've already done, you know?
Yeah, even we've already talked about it enough.
Right.
I kind of like the idea of just not, because I mean, this is supposed to be a business and finance focused podcast and discussions, but there's so much more to it than just the how do things work with the business of the personal side.
Yep.
um like how does even just the philosophy of a when you're interacting with another party, how do you deal with that, or how does that play in it? I don't know. Human nature is always funky. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
I think I'm rambling now.
Well, no, and it makes sense to me, I guess, based on like kind of how we were trying to break it down a little bit earlier. Like negotiation, I feel, is comprised of a lot of different areas. You know, there is the like interpersonal communication part of it, and that's kind of where the compromise comes in. You know, when nobody's feeling happy, that's when you've got you've reached a good point, I guess.
I mean, if you think of a negotiation as just two parties, parties being individuals, businesses, whatever, basically having an exchange of resources. Every day we wake up, we are negotiating. You go to the store and you're basically negotiating with the store on whether you agree to their offer of the goods that they are selling at a particular price, where the store goes, I know you're hungry. You want to eat those Oreos. that'll be $17. And you're like, I'm not that hungry. Oreos shouldn't be that much. But also, damn it, I am kind of hungry because I skipped lunch and now I'm shopping without food. And okay, we'll take it. It's $17 for pack. Like
Yeah.
even just that, it's like technically it's a tacit negotiation of here's my offer, take it or leave it, and you can go elsewhere. But you talk to people. What do we want to do for the evening? I don't know.
Hmm.
It's interesting to look at it just from the most of what we actually do in life is a negotiation when you don't really think of it that way. Um, yeah, even not considering oh, it's a boardroom discussion or business deal or something. Like I think probably the one thing we do every day a whole bunch is negotiating, which is oh, just interesting if you reframe how you look at it. I don't know if it's got
Yeah.
any real world implication for reframe your life through the lens of negotiating. Shit, I'm gonna hold on. I need to go trademark that for my next book.
Say that now you're prompting ChatGPT to start writing your book on
They did just come out with Chat GPT 5.0, so I could go be like, write me a book on how life is just a negotiation. It'd be like
stars
you,
have aligned.
and then I'd be like, you idiot, it's already been done. Can't. You're dumb.
Yeah, and you know what? Yeah, you kind of hit on it too just then, but I think a lot of what we see as well can come into sort of the business deal side, but more on a couple people trying to figure out a partnership. Like for me, I mean, I have a few clients who are content creator like partnerships that they all work together and figure out their percentage ownership or revenue splits, things like that, where you are negotiating, but it's also kind of brought down to like how much work each person is putting in.
Yeah, I mean, I think at least in particularly in situations like that, it's always helpful to remember that everything is a negotiation because it at least leaves you cognizant of all the factors that are in play for whatever it is you're trying to do. In a way, something like market research, right, is basically doing your homework for how you're going to negotiate with the general public or whoever you're trying to sell services to in a way get an understanding of how strong your bargaining position is. If you're the only service provider in an area that everybody needs, you've got a lot of leverage to negotiate with. Whereas if you're a dime a dozen, it's a lot harder, and you've got to do more to make people want to, seal the deal with you or move forward. Uh, it's like every little bit. Weirdly enough, your overall strength plays into, well, what can we do with that? We've got a ton of money. I don't have to be as desperate to make this deal for the next sale because I've got other people that we're already doing work. Things are fine. You want to try and, shortchange me. I don't care. I don't need it. You can't squeeze me through that desperation. Whereas, as I have jokingly said, particularly in the beginning, man, there was nothing I love more than the sweet, sweet sound of desperation. They got nobody else. They got a problem they need fixed, and they got nobody else they can go to. Mm, that's good.
Yeah, dude, that's such a good point. I'm so glad you hit on that. Like how when maybe you are on the flip side of that, like if you are the desperate one, how do you go into something and not like reek of, you know, I need the like, when you're first starting out a business, if you're a solopreneur or something and you need this client like desperately.
I mean, honestly, to get into specific advice, I think letting it known how desperate you are, depending, I'm going to say it is context dependent because we do work with a lot of clients that are in situations where they are really desperate for solutions. And, um, part of it is just professional ethics to not take advantage of them, that kind of thing. But in general, I mean, if you are truly that desperate, one of the worst things you can do really is to let the other party know that you are that desperate, because then they know that you are desperate. So you're going to be like, they're going to squeeze you for everything that they can because they know how much you need it.
Yeah, you completely lose your footing at
Yeah,
that
you
point.
you could have these other resources, but if one client is the difference between bankruptcy and success, and they know enough about you to know that that's the situation that it's in, like you don't. It's kind of like, ultimately at the back end of every negotiation is a game of brinkmanship.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really are gonna push to that all like to the edge, who is the one willing to go over the cliff? And if somebody is able to go over the cliff and walk away from it, and the other party literally cannot, then it's just a fact of life. You're not going to get as good of a deal as you could have otherwise, because that is what it is.
Right.
So it's interesting to think. I'm sure we've all heard that. Obviously, we've all read Sun Tzu, right? We're all well-read individuals here. We've all read The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu, one of his famous sayings is, if you know your enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear the result of 1,000 battles. If you know your negotiating party and you know yourself, then you can probably figure out ahead of time, how's this going to go? What can we get? What aren't we going to be able to get? How's this going to work? There we go. And the more information that's available, the more everybody can to a certain extent, go into it and go, okay, you have the show of discussion in the beginning, but we all know we're going to end up here. It's like, even if you got
Right.
friends where you know that you're going to try and figure out where you want to go eat, and everybody's going to him and haw not want this place and not blah 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 blah. We're all going to end up at Chipotle. We know that it happens every time, but we've got to go through the rigmarole before we can go to Chipotle and then have a good time.
Yep. Yep.
Except for the one person who's truly desperate. It's like, hey, you want to go get food? Maybe you want to spot us a little bit? And they're like, whatever, I don't care. I'm literally starving. Let's go eat.
Yeah. All roads lead back to Chipotle.
Everything. This episode is not sponsored by Chipotle. I am just really hungry right now.
Yet.
Chipotle, please, please. We will talk about you quite. I will eat Chipotle on air if you give us a sponsor. Not even if you give us a sponsorship, just give me free food. I will shill you left, right, and center. I'm really hungry.
Yeah, I saw not to go down the rabbit hole too much, but I saw recently, I think, a headline of, that show Love Island? Probably heard of it.
Um, the only reason why I know Love Island is the thing is because I see it as prompt responses on dating apps. That's it.
Yep.
Never watched it.
I've actually never watched it either. I want to, but I saw a headline that I think one of the past contestants or something, like after they came off the show, they got like a $2 million brand deal with Chipotle, I think, just to like post on social media for this burrito. I was like, damn, that
How do we get that?
I know, right? We go on Love Island apparently.
Hold on. How do I go on Love Island? Hmm. Research to do later.
Right? Yeah. Keep that tab open.
What am I willing to do for a $2 million sponsorship deal? A lot. I'm willing to do a lot.
Especially when that sponsorship relates to burritos.
Food, good food in general. Qdoba as well. Chick-fil-A. Yeah, that'd probably be my favorites. There being a
Yep.
sponsorship from one of them. They fed us every episode. God, that'd be great. Of course, then my energy would tank as I'd eat that burrito, and then it'd be like, what are we talking about? I don't know. I'm full.
Yep. We're done here.
Episodes. It's been like 6 minutes. I'm really tired. I'm gonna go. I'm sleepy. I'm gonna take a nap. I don't want to do anything anymore. I got burrito belly.
Negotiating tactic number 2: don't eat a burrito before you go negotiate.
That man, that there's the real pro tip, which is make sure that you're if you're really going into an important deal, make sure you're a little bit hangry going into it, because then you won't back down when they try to give you the hard sell of like, no, we're only going to offer this. Be like, I'm so goddamn no, we're not doing that. I'm hungry. I'm going to go get food. I don't care that you're going to do this. Don't insult me.
I'm gonna be as stubborn as I possibly can.
I'm going to be irrationally stubborn because I'm hungry, and that makes me irritable. And then that makes my bargaining position stronger. Maybe. Or the other party goes, the idiot didn't eat beforehand. We're not dealing with this. So you got to know yourself. You got to know yourself for how you handle being hungry going into a deal to make sure that you're not doing something stupid.
I mean, honestly, it's actually a pretty good tip, like if like know yourself enough to know that you probably shouldn't make a big decision if you don't make good decisions when you're hangry.
Don't try and make a deal drunk or under the influence or stoned out of your mind. Understand how hunger is going to impact your ability to make decisions. See, you got if you know yourself and you know your enemy,
There you go.
that's it. You know what's going to happen beforehand. You'll be able to look at it and go, I'm going to lose. We're not even going to do this. If I sit down hungry, they're going to offer me food. I'm going to fold immediately. I'm going to eat that sandwich. It's done. I can't do this.
I actually I do need to go back and read Sun Tzu now. It's been a while.
Oh man, some of the anecdotes from that book are really funny. Because it's one of those things, when they say like you can't make movies like they used to anymore, you can't run militaries like they used to anymore.
Hmm.
Um, what is it? I think there was an anecdote in there, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been like 10 plus years. So everything here, if I'm wrong, this is just Chat GPT hallucinations. Um,
Rolling with it.
oh yeah, what was it? In order to instill ranks in the troops or in the court, I want to say, beheaded the like emperor's favorite concubine or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah, to show the things were serious. It involved the killing of women
yeah,
like
that's a
that.
pretty
So
good incentive.
if you're in international waters and none of this is going to get tracked back, and you have dissent in the ranks, no, don't do that. We do not condone the killing of people to improve morale amongst the troops.
Yeah, these negotiating tactics only apply to when you are on U.S. soil.
If you go international, look, if you're negotiating with the Saudis, be prepared for unorthodox negotiating tactics. Also, don't go on their yacht.
Yeah, right. I saw the what I think North Korea just opened a beach resort to new tourists, so be prepared if you go there. May find
Life
yourself
pro tip number
negotiating.
42 of the Real Profit podcast. If you've been invited to North Korea as a tourist, it is probably a trap.
It's a high percentage chance you're not going to end up well.
If the matrix of your decision tree ends at go to North Korean tourist location for business deal, at least make sure that your will is filled out ahead of time.
I can help you with that if you need.
Shout out to Ryan if you are planning on going to North Korea or Iran to get a business deal done. Talk to Ryan to get your affairs in order, your finances put in a trust, and all that,
Make
because you
sure you
will
got
not
your
be coming back.
beneficiaries in order. I don't know if life insurance would pay out for something like that, but
I'm sure somewhere out there's a life insurance company that'll you pay enough in premiums, they'll be like, yeah, whatever. War zone, nah.
you
Premium will
got
be
to get
5 grand a month, but yeah, we'll pay out.
your North Korea rider on your policy.
Man, wouldn't it suck to be you're in there and the family's trying to collect and you go, I'm sorry, page 32, paragraph 4, it explicitly says that if the named insured perishes on North Korean soil, this does not cover any events that happened.
It actually is a thing though with life insurance. There's policies that if you die outside of the US, you are not getting paid.
Honestly, I am always amazed at the ways insurance companies will weasel out of having to pay out. It really is kudos to them for basically being a djinn and looking for every little thing that they can to twist what they're supposed to do,
Yep.
which is I died, pay out. No, 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 no.
Not too hasty.
See, you died within 30 feet of a native rare variant of an oak tree only found in the South Sudan. And if you'll check your policy, it is explicitly laid out in there that because that is endangered, we will not pay out.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sucks to be you. You're just like, goddamn State Farm. It's like some United Health bullshit that they would pull. Oh, you got sick out of country. Nope. Pre-existing condition. Oh, dead? That's a
Yeah.
pre-existing condition of life. We're not covering that. Uh, there was something else that came to mind. I know we're talking about Sun Tzu. They did. I mean, there was an interesting. This one I actually thought was really interesting. Go back to Sun Tzu. Is if you want to get the best performance out of your troops. Okay, I'm a sucker for little military anecdotes because I
Oh
think
yeah.
a lot of times in terms of leadership lessons, there's no better place to look than the battlefield because then it's life or death, and if you screw up, people die, and it kind of you get that real time response. If that was a bad fucking idea, we screw up, nothing bad really happens because we're just accountants. Um,
Yeah. Luckily, nobody dies.
so far,
Yep.
fingers crossed. Usually for I think it's the collections process is usually where we've got the greatest risk of something like that happening. Um, it's the resistance levels when they're negotiating their bill with us. It's how much they want to resist. Um, but what it was the I think it was Sunset. There was some old, it might have been Alexander the Great, where they went over the water in an invasion. And once they got there, or it might have been fucking the Odyssey. I cannot remember. It all blurs together. Once they landed, they burned the boats so that there was no out for the troops. And the idea behind it was if you really want to get the best performance out of your troops like that, you have to put them in a situation, or not have, but you put them in a situation where there is no out and it is life or death.
Yeah. I have heard that before too, and I can't remember what the I'm confused like you if it's the Odyssey or if it was something else. But it's such a good analogy. Or not even
It's
analogy, like
something I try to put into play a whole lot with my own team. Fortunately for them, we just do virtual accounting work, so we do not end up in a lot of situations where our backs are to the water, and then we have an enemy army on three sides hemming us in, and the only way out is to kill or be killed. So far, they have avoided that fate. I do know that I think the burning of the boats that may not have been Sun Tzu, but I do know that he had talked about putting troops in basically a kill or be killed scenario to break the enemy.
hmm
Which, judging by the way they treated their people, I'm pretty sure there's some large corporations that have kind of taken that to heart, but more of a if they die, we can cut labor costs.
Yep.
Negotiating with your lives here.
What do they like to call it? Human capital, you know?
Oh God, that still reminds me of the client we picked up where the previous accountants had set up everything and it was human capital. It's like,
Ugh.
fuck you. They're
Gives me the
people.
heebie-jeebies.
They might be assholes, but they are still people. It's not human capital. Anyone who starts referring to the labor force as human capital, you are an asshole. And I can be quoted on that one. I will tell anyone who's while our human capital, nope, shut up, you're an asshole. People. Those are employees. It's not, oh, labor's too expensive. It's like they make you money. What the fuck's the problem? Damn. I don't know. Sometimes I swear that we have I wonder, are we like missing something in how this stuff is supposed to work? Because we look at what some of these leaders do or whatever, and it's like, what do you mean human capital? Like, are we missing? Are we the idiots here who just don't understand the wisdom that they have found?
Yeah, we just haven't had our light bulb moment yet where we're like, human capital.
Dude, if we kill all the people, we won't have labor costs. And then if we get AI to do it, AI is cheap, and then we're making a ton of money.
It's genius. It's
It,
genius.
it literally cannot go wrong. think I was reading about a plan like that in Wall Street Bets, and as we all know, they are never wrong.
Always the best of plans.
I exclusively get financial advice from Reddit. I don't talk to you about it. I go, what's Reddit saying about what's going on in the markets? And then I'll read it and go, whoa, it's not even remotely right.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
What were we talking about? Negotiating? Don't
Oh my
negotiate
god.
with Reddit. If you're in really hard negotiations, take no prisoners. Understand that you will kill in order to get what you want, and they will acquiesce. You see, that's where I've been really reading some of the writings of some of those real like those influencers out there who are the real dominant guys.
Oh yeah.
And oh yeah, we're in such a weak society that if you're willing to kill the other person, you will get what you want. Because society now is so weak. We've lost that animal killer instinct that if you are willing to quite literally bash in the head of the other person that you're trying to negotiate, you'll win every time.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
We've been doing it wrong this whole time.
Spoken like a true guru.
Anyway, buy my $5,000 a month course, How to Be a True Negotiator, and all it does is basically just sends a Glock to your house and says, "There you go, you can have whatever you want."
Kill the competition.
No, you misunderstood. We mean literally kill them. Actually kill them. If you kill them, they cannot fight back. That's what Sun Tzu said. That's the secret to every that's the brinkmanship that we talked about. When they understand that you are willing and committed to quite literally killing them with whatever is laying around, you will win that negotiation. And then when the police show up, well, that's just another negotiation. And when you demonstrate you're willing to go to the edge, you'll win that one too.
Never stop winning.
This section sponsored by Big Boyd's Bail Bonds. Did you finally lose and now you're in jail? Get yourself a Big Boyd's Bail Bond. It's been such a long fucking week.
Now we go back to what we were talking about when we say don't lose your when you have desperation, when you're in jail and you find yourself desperate.
Don't go for the first bail bond company that shows up and goes, "Hey, do you want to get out?"
Still a negotiation.
They're negotiating. See, they know that you're locked up and you think you don't have negotiating power, and you don't. But you don't want them to know that. You go with the second one that shows up.
Oh man.
Just like you always fire the first attorney. He knows what position you're in. You don't want to go with that first one. You want the second one, right? Because now you've demonstrated that you are the dominant one in the negotiation. And so when you set that tone, well, then they're going to respect you.
Right. Absolutely.
I don't remember where we were going with it. Dude, it's been such a long week. Oh man, negotiating international waters. Don't go to a North Korean tourist location. If you're on a Saudi yacht, remember you can't really fight back because of the implication. You may not be in any danger, but you're on a boat because of the implication.
Exactly.
You're in the water. You don't know what they're going to do.
Well, I think those are the high points I had.
That was it. I remember when we were negotiating what we wanted to talk about. I distinctly remember I wanted to cover North Korean tourism. The best way to get a negotiating deal is to be willing to kill the other person, and don't go on a Saudi yacht. That was my three big ones.
You had to sell me a little bit on them. We had to negotiate for sure, but
We
ended
did.
up passing those three.
God, we're so fucking funny that we can make a really over the top reference here to the fact that we were negotiating. Aren't we funny? We're so fucking funny. The funniest fucker ever.
If you just keep telling people you're funny, it will become true.
Isn't that how stand-up comedians get their start? They just get up on stage and scream at the crowd for 20 minutes. I'm funny, laugh at me.
It's all about crowd work these days.
It's a negotiation with the crowd. If you make them feel uncomfortable enough, they will laugh out of nervousness. And a nervous laugh is the same thing as, oh my God, you're the funniest person ever. And that's a win. And then you get booked for more shows.
Yep, that's a hell of a lot better than no laugh at all.
Oh, that's the worst. That's when they know you're desperate and they're not going to laugh because they know that if they give in a little bit, you're going to continue your set.
And you're toast at that point.
Oh yeah, then they know that you want to make them laugh, and if they know that you want to make them laugh, they know how desperate you are to do that. Well, they're not gonna give in. You think just
Especially if
because
they're hungry.
you think just because they paid like $70 for a ticket for that show tonight that they want to laugh? No, it's a negotiation. They want to make you work for it. They're not just gonna give out their laughs. You got to work.
Those ain't cheap.
Dude, laugh in this economy with the way inflation's going. You got Bank of England starting to cut rates, to try and bring down their. I mean, you've got British inflation coming over here and affecting the value of American laughs.
Well, and at this point, you think Trump is probably just going to kill Jerome Powell at some point in a negotiation.
See, going back to our original point, if you're willing to kill the counterparty, you will get what you want.
It all comes back around.
Disagreement with the Fed, kill them. No holds barred. WWE, totally sponsored. I don't. Who'd be a good sponsor for that? Who really needs the advertising? Chipotle. That's the only one that would give the energy they would need to beat each other to death.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It would be a smackdown for the ages, like Hell in a Cell.
With burritos.
Just remember, if you're willing to kill, you can get anything you want.
Cut.
We don't have to like put a disclaimer on this that all this is satire. Like we're not. I don't think our professional standards require those disclaimers. I don't know. Are yours going to run into problems? This is where we have to put up the big warning, like everything that was said in here was said in jest. We do not condone violence in any form within the U.S.
At this point, I'm just going to take it as a compliment that they decided to listen this far into the episode, that they could get to this point to, at that point, remind me that this happened.
The ultimate compliment that anybody can get is the SEC reviewing your podcast long enough, all the way to the end, to say, "Hey, you were condoning violence," and you're like, "Aw, thanks for listening."
The new examiner on the team that they forced to listen to all the podcast episodes in their entirety.
Get reported on YouTube and it makes it all the way up its chain to be like, come on, we're getting reported. Do you see what they're talking about on Twitter? Come on. Sorry, not Twitter, X, Zitter. Come on, us. Don't you guys have like actual people to go after? Probably not.
Right.
It's like, don't you guys need to like go do some spot checks of KPMG or something like that? There we go. It's not a really good episode unless we can throw shade at KPMG for trying to circumvent PCAOB regulations.
Yeah. Yep.
Ha 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 ha! That's what you get for being a PCAOB auditor. I don't think I have any more negotiating takeaways from this. It's just remember that if the better your position, the more you can negotiate. Just know how good your position is compared to the counterparty. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Negotiating in a nutshell. Know yourself, know your enemy, and you can probably figure it out ahead of time. And if all else fails, pull a gun, and then you probably win. Until you lose. Everybody loses. The state always wins.
And there we go.
Man, what an episode. Truly, I think this is the most distilled wisdom we've had yet.
Agreed. Agreed.
This will definitely be something. So if anyone has stayed through the entire episode, as always, know that we do appreciate you listening to our uh, deranged rambling for this one, as we just decided to go in a totally different direction than we thought originally. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, let us know what you liked, blah blah blah, all that stuff. If you're on Spotify, make sure to give a comment and talk about how amazing we are. If you don't have nice things to say, I don't want to hear it. It will shatter me as a person. Ryan, you're so much stronger than I am. You can take it. I will. I'm teetering on the edge.
It's just a
And
rough outward appearance. I'm pretty soft on the inside, you know.
you're such a nice guy. And we will see everybody on the next episode.